Don't make me do an exorcism. I really don't want to. Hi, is free will real? And if it is, why are people assholes? When I was growing up on planet Earth, I grew up as a Christian, and I would often ask my pastors, is free will real? Or does God really have this all figured out? Because then, like, do I have to do anything at all? And their answer would be, maybe? Because the whole point of the Bible was saying, in order to go to heaven, you cannot sin. So therefore, you have free will to decide if you do sin or not. But then there's an argument of, well, if God knows everything and he is the most powerful being,
inevitable,
and can see the past, present, the future, doesn't that mean he kind of has it all figured out and there's predetermination? And so I'd bring that up to my pastors and they would just not have they weren't expecting a 9-year-old kid to come up with these ideas, I don't know. So then I would ask myself, which one is the correct answer? Does that mean when I'm born, it's already determined if I'm gonna go to hell or heaven? And if so, does it matter if I try to be a good person, or if I try to get out of bed in the morning, or I try to be as perfect as possible? Does it matter at all? So Christianity failed to give me that answer, and I didn't really know exactly how to interpret that. And in Eastern religions, I started learning that free will does exist. We live in a world of constant suffering, and it's your choice to detach from the suffering in order to live kind of like a heaven on earth style. Sorry if I'm butchering any of these, please correct me in the comment section. So then Eastern religion is saying, yes, the things you do on this earth, they do matter. And you know, if you decide to be evil and an asshole, you're going to feel that in your reincarnation. Not really fun. You might keep being stuck in the same cycle over and over again. That's not good. So then you do want to create a life where suffering isn't really a part of your existence. And then I started discovering the occult. Was that cool? Was that scary? In Western occultism, all right, that's a little much. In Western occultism, there's a concept of the will. Aleister Crowley did a lot of speaking on your own free will and the power of the will. So the final conclusion that I came to is that it's a little bit of both. Occultism, witchcraft, magic, it all says that you have the power to do whatever you want with your will. Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. And that is a mandate to follow your true will. Let me know if I'm getting messy with this. We do have a free will that says that in occultism, and in kind of religion, it says that you do have the will to do whatever you want and to make your own choices. In occultism, there's a concept of a higher will or true will, that your higher self, your spirits, your gods, whatever you believe in that's above this plane of existence, they kind of want you to get to the specific place on this lifetime. And so it's kind of a matter of you doing whatever you want and then kind of trying to meet in the middle somewhere. So this is where I think tarot becomes a perfect example. Whenever I do a tarot reading on a person, I always tell them that this is never set in stone. Even though that this might say that this is your future, it doesn't mean it has to be. Why? Because you have free will to do whatever you want. So if the tarot is saying right now that you are the one that is holding yourself back, and that because of that, your future is going to lead to anxiety, you have the decision after hearing that reading to say, you know what? I'm not gonna hold myself back. Let's get to it. And then that changes your course on this existence. I love to think of it as like a multiverse theory. If we're in this existence right here, you have a choice to go left or right. Maybe if you decided to go to this college, then your whole life would have been different than if you went to this college over here. So you do have free will in that sense. However, there are some things that you don't have control of, dare I say? For example, I do believe that if there is a great creator of the universe, then they do have more of a priority to determine your life than I might, because I am just a feeble spirit inside of a human body. Who cares about that? So let's move on then. If free will does exist, let's forget about the predetermination if that is a factor, but it does exist, then that means you can be an asshole on purpose. In this reality, I have dealt with a plethora of assholes, as I am sure you have as well. And what are you supposed to do about that? I unfortunately am a chronic people pleaser, and that has caused me many issues because I should be destroying your existence. But no, the demon that I have stuck in a circle of salt will still try to harm me, no matter if I threaten them with ending their life. It's ridiculous. So yes, you might have a toxic coworker or a frenemy or someone, an evil relative or something like that. And it might feel like if you're close to them that you do have an ability to change them, or you do have an ability to influence them into becoming the person that you want them to be, and that's so exciting. And then everyone on planet Earth can live in harmony and we all love each other, and that's the point. That's the point. Unfortunately, however, you might have free will, but so does the other person. And this is another point when you're practicing magic and occultism as well. Yes, you have the free will to do a love spell on someone and possibly get them to crush on you. But they also have the free will that determines who they like. If there's a path of least resistance, it'll happen. But if there is resistance, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes people don't want to change. It's a very frustrating, very frustrating thing to learn, that people sometimes just don't want to change and people don't care about being a good or righteous person. This is why you should always try to find homies that have good morals and good values to them, because when you come across these people that are assholes, what can you do about it? Absolutely nothing. I myself try to exist with them. Yes, I'm talking about you evil fuck. I try to exist with them, but sometimes they make it very difficult. And so what are you supposed to do about that? You can't change them. You can't. It's like if someone's yelling at you to change, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Once you realize that people have free will, which means they are actively deciding to be a bad person instead of change, then you can remember that, wait, you have free will as well, and you can not talk to that person, or you can utterly destroy their existence. Up to you. In conclusion, what I have to say is that yes, free will does exist, predetermination probably exists as well. Everyone has free will, which means you have the free will to walk away from someone that refuses to change or someone who is also evil. Do what thou will shall be the whole of the law. However, in Wicca, they like to say, you know, karma's a bitch. Whatever you do will come back to you threefold. So if you are mean, it will come back to you threefold. However, I personally, and this is no shade to any of my Wiccans out there, but I personally do not believe in that. I think people can get away with a lot of harm for a majority of their life and face no consequences. So then it's more of a matter of protecting yourself, protecting your friends, and retribution, and justice. So do what thou will, if it harms none, but if the person is harming you, then it is okay to use your free will to do what you need to protect yourself and your friends. My name is Nate Phantom. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Enough.